All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Mastering Maize and Blue series. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about self care and transitioning into college with me, Caylinn Higgins, and my colleague, Solomon Dudley. I am the host, Caylinn Higgins. One thing about me is one of my majors are psychology. I'm involved in Student Activities Board, Circle K International, and I am an engaged scholar. And my favorite superhero is Iron Man.
Amazing, Caylinn. My name is Solomon Dudley. I am a health and human services major with a public health concentration involvement as far as that goes. I am a team manager for lacrosse as well as a community assistant for the union at Dearborn. And then my favorite superhero is Superman because of Superman ice cream. Today we have counseling and psychological services, two peer mentors. If you guys can introduce yourself and then feel free to take it away.
Hi everyone, my name is Amanda Saleh. Yeah, I'll go first. Hi everyone, my name is Amanda Saleh. My pronouns are she, her. I'm an incoming fourth year student and I'm double majoring in psychology and philosophy. And I'm a peer mentor with the Mental Health and Wellness Peer Mentor Program.
Hi, my name is Chandler. I'm also a mental health and wellness peer mentor through the CAPS. And my pronouns are he, him, and I'm a psychology major. All right, so before we get into like the nitty details of this, I want to sort of bring this to everyone's attention. We're all aware that we are in the middle of a pandemic, but just some sort of information. This is a collective trauma that we are all going through. It's a very stressful period for all of us. So it's important to realize that our functioning is not going to be what it typically would be for us. And that's completely okay. That's understandable. So just sort of, if you notice yourself sort of quote unquote slacking up, just remind yourself, hey, we're in the middle of a pandemic. There's a lot going on. It's okay to not be okay.
So before we get into self-care specifically, let's do a quick recap of CAPS. So CAPS offers a variety of mental health services, including individual therapy. So that's your basic one-on-one. Usually happens like once a week, and each session is planned the week before to tailor best to your schedule. They also have group therapy, which also happens like once a week, and groups are typically small, roughly 10 people or so. CAPS also has couples therapy and case management. So with case management, CAPS assists students in connecting them with services that they may need outside of the university. So referrals to community mental health providers, referrals for medical care and psychiatrists, and assistance in making a plan of action to meet students' basic needs that they may be struggling with. And of course, CAPS has the Mental Health and Wellness Peer Mentor Program, which has peer-run support groups. We will be running virtual groups this year, so we're really excited for that. On the next slide, it also mentions that CAPS has no limited sessions. So we used to have a cap on sessions. We don't anymore, which is great. And it's located on the second floor of the UC. And you can also schedule sessions during like now and in the fall. They're doing sessions via telehealth, so you can just email them at UM-Dearborn caps@umich.edu.
All right, so before we talk about like proper ways to care for ourselves, I do want us to address what are some unhealthy coping strategies to stress. These are some of the most common ones that are popular among college students, such as drinking too much or experimenting with drugs, emotional eating or restricting one's food intake, hooking up or frivolous sex, sleeping too much or even too little, cutting or self-harm, withdrawing or isolating from our friends. That one's a little bit sort of murky right now given the guidelines for COVID and everything, procrastination, and then also suicidal thoughts and attempts. With the self-harm and the suicide thoughts or attempts, if that is going on, please, please, please reach out to the National Suicide Hotline. That number is 1-800-273-TALK. Again, that is 1-800-273-TALK. Counseling Psychological Services also has an emergency mental health hotline that you can find on their website. And also, please be sure to reach out for services if you are having thoughts of suicide, thoughts of hurting yourself, or if you are hurting yourself. So what is self-care? So I want to open this up to our host. What does self-care mean to you two?
Caylinn, feel free to start.
In my opinion, self-care means to set time for yourself. In the world of college or just in the world period, you can easily do a lot of things and forget about your mental health and self-care overall. So overall, in my opinion, self-care means to take care of yourself and remember that you are human and you can't always do everything at once.
Yeah. Solomon, how about you?
I would completely agree with Caylinn. Just recognizing your limits and boundaries, and then telling yourself no or telling yourself yes, just depending on the situation. So
Yeah, exactly. So self-care are these, it's Solomon, if you want to go ahead and click. Self-care, deliberate decisions that we make to improve our physical, mental, emotional, social, or spiritual health. So there are things where we're like, hey, let's work on me. My favorite thing about self-care is we got to fill up that cup. Every day we go about navigating stuff and we're pouring our cup out, or our cup of water all over the place. Eventually that cup's going to run out and we can't pour from an empty cup. Self-care is a way that we can fill that cup back up.
So today we're going to be talking about 5 different dimensions of self-care. But if you look up self-care, you'll probably find more or less dimensions. But we picked these 5 to kind of holistically cover self-care. So the 5 different dimensions include physical, emotional, mental, social, and spiritual. So we can go to the next slide. So let's start with physical self-care. What is physical self-care? So physical self-care includes anything involved with our physical body. So asking yourself questions like, are you getting enough sleep? How's your nutrition? What about moving around or exercising? And even like dressing up in a way that makes you comfortable. It can improve your self-care. Yeah, so let's go into the examples for self-care, even though those were kind of examples, but let's talk about it a little bit more. So I'm developing a regular sleep routine. So sleep is really important and we oftentimes like overlook sleep. Everybody needs a different amount of sleep to function the next day. So make sure you're getting your hours. You know yourself best, so get the hours that you need. Aim to eat healthy foods or eat foods that energize you. You know, it can cost a lot of money to buy healthy foods, but try to do your best to eat things that uplift you physically and spiritually. Take lunch breaks. We get busy a lot and we oftentimes forget to take breaks just to eat. So make sure you're getting the food that you need. Go for a walk during one of your breaks. And if you're able to go outside during your break, definitely try to. It can be really refreshing. You also get a chance to connect with nature, which definitely helps your mental health. Use your sick leave. So a lot of folks that have like full-time jobs don't really use their sick leave. But if you have that time, don't be afraid to use it. Take time off work to help you recharge. And get some exercise before work, before or after work regularly, or just find time to move your body, whether that be like walking, running, dancing, yoga, anything helps. So Chandler will lead us in the activity for physical self-care.
All right. So one of my like favorite things to do is to stretch. And I'm just gonna hold up so I can see myself. When it comes to like your physical self, we carry a lot of tension. Me specifically, when I get stressed, I can feel my tension right here and right here. So those are the areas I want to focus on stretching today. Really good stretch is we're gonna take our hands, we're gonna sort of put them together like this, like we're holding our own hand. We're gonna put that behind our back and we're gonna pull up as far as we can, taking a deep breath in, and then exhaling and looking to the ground. You're gonna really feel this in this area. And then also right here in your shoulder blades. We're gonna hold that for a couple of seconds, taking another deep breath in. And exhaling. All right. A really good one is, I'm sure a lot of us remember this from gym class in elementary school. Stretching our shoulder blades, and you can feel this in your upper back, a little bit in your neck. Same side, or other side. And then we're gonna take our arm, bend it into a triangle behind our back, and pull that to the side. So what stretching does for us is it pulls on those muscles in a really gentle way. It stimulates them, increases blood flow. Sorry. And even if you're just sitting down doing some studying, it's really good to take breaks in between. That's really good for your mental state, but also for your physical body. Sitting down for long periods of time is not what humans are designed for. So getting up and moving will help increase that blood flow, and we'll get that blood flow back to your brain, which actually makes studying easier. So we're gonna bend over. This one you'll feel in your lower back, but I also feel it in my calves too. Touch your toes if you are able to. And it's easy as that, just to stretch. So we're gonna move on to emotional self-care now. So what is emotional self-care? It's really just focusing on our emotion, bringing them into an awareness, and also regulating them. But that regulation comes with like acknowledgement of our feelings and accepting them. We all get upset. We are humans. Sometimes we can't even control our emotions. And like some activities of ourselves, there are some aspects of ourselves we just cannot always control. So some examples of emotional self-care, developing friendships that are emotionally supportive, and that's in a healthy way. Keeping a gratitude journal, that's something I personally do. I keep it on me all the time. I always have a backpack on me, and it is in my backpack. One thing I try to do is make it a habit of at least every other day finding something that I'm grateful for. Practicing breathing exercises is really good to get us into the habit when we recognize, hey, I'm getting to an elevated state. Maybe I need to bring myself back down so that I can react to this appropriately. And then another thing is just talking or even crying. Crying actually releases endorphins in our mind and body that create or cause us to calm down. So crying is literally cathartic. If you need to cry, let it out. You will feel better. I promise you. And Amanda's going to lead us into a emotional self-care activity.
So for this activity, we're going to write. Writing is a great way to cope and work through our emotions. So get something out to write with. It can be a pen and a paper. It can be your laptop. That's totally cool. So the prompt for this activity is to reflect on how you're feeling about entering college during the pandemic. So let's take like 5 minutes to write, and then we'll go from there.
Also remember, this is something that only you are going to see, only your eyes are going to be on. So it's okay to put whatever you're feeling on this. I know even for me, going back into school, this is my senior year. I'm done after this. it's still very intimidating for me, being fully remote, with my academic work while also still going to school and balancing that work and home life. That's something we're all still learning to do, unfortunately, because this is the first time any of us have ever seen something like this. So feelings of anxiousness, nervousness, worry, fear even, are all completely normal and valid states of mind for us to be in. I also can't even imagine how much it is to go through right now, starting college in the middle of a pandemic. It's you all are a very interesting new class, and I think it is phenomenal that you all are pushing through this and doing everything that you are, starting starting in the world as adults in the middle of a pandemic. You all are amazing, and you can get through this, and just know that however you're feeling about this, completely normal. And if you're feeling it, chances are others are feeling it too. So there are others with you in this boat. We've got about 2 more minutes left. About a minute left. And if you're comfortable with sharing something like this, I encourage you to find somebody close to you or that you care about, feel like an emotional connection with. Share these feelings with them. Very, very healthy, like we discussed, confiding in a close friend or relative is another really good way to keep up on our emotional self-care. All right, go ahead and finish up your final thoughts. And then tell them whenever you're ready. It's been about 5 minutes. All right, so another domain is mental self-care. So what is that? Mental self-care is stimulating our mind. This can include reading or writing, drawing, knitting, building, doing puzzles, or just designing something. So I mentioned writing, and we just did a writing exercise. A lot of self-care activities can overlap, and oftentimes they do. For example, we're going to talk about yoga and a little bit in spiritual self-care. That is both physical and mental. So self-care is sort of like a multi-use kind of thing. It can work for a whole bunch of other things. So another thing is art with self-care. Art is not just for kids. And it is just a really good way for us to get out our emotions as well. So what is mental self-care? What are some examples? Mindful showers, one of my favorite things to do. Just literally sitting there and imagining like you're washing all of that stress off. What's great is that it's just changing your thinking of while you're in a shower. I know some of us jump into a shower, wash off, jump out. Sort of take the extra like 2 minutes and focus on like literally washing all of that stress away. Keeping a reflective journal, engaging in a non-work hobby. Find something that you love to do that isn't work related. Even if you love your work, find something you love to do that is not work. Don't let work consume your life. Make sure you're setting up those boundaries between work and play. Make time for relaxation. Relaxation is like my favorite thing to do. Make time to be lazy. Schedule it into your day. I can't stress that enough. Schedule it into your day. Make it a priority. And then find time to engage with friends and family. Again, we're social beings. Finding time to engage with your friends and family, though, make sure we're still being safe about that. We are still in the middle of a pandemic. If you're meeting up in person, please wear your mask. Please stay 6 feet away, or do it over Zoom, FaceTime, or any other way that folks are using to talk to each other. So, my favorite way to do a mental self-care activity is this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. So this is only going to take us about 3 minutes to do. So we're going to get that started. All right. So first, I want us all to sort of I want us to sync up our breathing. I call this reverse haiku breathing. I'm not sure if anyone else has like called it anything. So we're gonna breathe in for 7 seconds. We're gonna hold that breath for 5, and then we're gonna exhale for 7. And we're gonna make sure that this is a slow breath so that we're able to take that full deep breath in 7 seconds, hold it for 5, and then slowly exhale that whole breath in 7 seconds. So we're gonna breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold or in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I want you to find 5 things around you that you can see. It could be a pen, a spot on the ceiling, anything that you can see. I want you to focus on it. What does the texture look like? Is it soft? Is it rough? Bumpy? Smooth? Does it look like it would be cold to the touch? Or hot? How does that object make you feel? Focus on the colors. Are they pleasant? Or are they just like an ugh kind of color? Now I want you to find 4 things you can feel. That could be maybe the way the chair you're sitting in feels, the way your clothes are on your body. Focus on how tight something might feel, the pressure. If there's any objects around you, go ahead, grab them, pick them up. Really focus on the way they feel in your hands. Are they smooth, rough? Now find 3 things you can hear. What sounds are they? Are they pleasant? Are they annoying? Maybe it's the buzzing of lights hanging over you. Maybe it's the vocal fry that I'm experiencing right now because I've been talking all day. Really hone in on those sounds. Maybe you can hear cars. Now, these next two really take some focus. What are two things you can smell? Are they pleasant? Unpleasant? Kind of stinky, maybe? Really take in those smells and focus on experiencing that in the moment. And finally, what does your mouth taste like? Do you taste maybe something you had last? Maybe your mouth's a little dry right now and you need to take a drink of water. Maybe you're eating something. Just really focus on that area of your mouth. So that is the end of the mental self-care activity. That's like my absolute favorite activity. I use it a lot of times at summer camp and during before and after school care to help my students calm down and sort of recenter themselves and hone in. And then we're going to go into social self-care, and I'm going to tip that off to Amanda.
Yeah. So for social self-care, social self-care is the interaction with others, both in deep and casual ways. So this can be with your family, friends, partner, colleagues, coworkers, and so on. Everyone needs some human connection. It's just about finding the type of connection and the amount that meets your needs. So whether that be setting up one-on-ones with others, hanging out with a few friends, going to big social events, everyone has different needs, so it's all about finding your own. And there's no right answer. And if you're feeling disconnected, it might be due to not getting the support that you need, no matter how great your friends are. We all have friends that we love, but if we're feeling like lonely or disconnected, the cause or the reason could be due to something outside of them. So take that time for yourself to really think about why you may be feeling that way, and get the support that you need. Examples for social self-care is, of course, prioritizing close relationships in your life. It can be really easy to not prioritize our relationships when we get busy. I know, like, I'm guilty of this. So make time for the people that you love. Openly communicate your boundaries and respect the boundaries of others. So these boundaries are typically like emotional boundaries, material boundaries, time and energy, mental, physical boundaries. Some examples include like, I'm cool with following each other on social media, but not with sharing passwords. Or I'm cool with, I'm comfortable kissing and holding hands, but not in public. So like stating those boundaries, and schedule weekly virtual meetings with friends. So we're going to be, doing virtual classes, or most of us are going to be doing virtual classes in the fall. So really stay in touch, like, with your friends, and schedule meetings with them. So for our activity, Chandler, do you want to lead this activity for social self-care?
Yeah, I can do it. So let's explore boundaries. Boundaries are very important. They help us navigate our relationships in whatever category they are, whether they're family, friend, or romantic. So go ahead, get a sheet of paper out, and what is something that you would do? Oh, I'm sorry. So what are your digital boundaries? What are you willing to discuss online? And how long are you willing to be online? Social media right now is super prevalent, being in the pandemic. That is the safest way for us to communicate with each other. But how much are you able to balance that being online versus interacting with other people? And then what are some other boundaries that you want to put in place for yourself and your friends? Maybe there's a friend that you're super okay with being physical with. Platonic relationships are very important, and they're also super valid. But what are maybe some things you're not okay or not comfortable with your friends? It's important for us to define these boundaries. And also it's important for us to recognize when our boundaries have been broken. For me, I get super uncomfortable and just like, I physically like just want to leave a situation when my own boundaries have been sort of broken or crossed. All right. And then what is spiritual self-care? So spiritual self-care is our awareness of and a relationship with something that is bigger than us. That does not have to be religion. It's often sort of thought to be in synchronous with religion, but that's literally just one way to express spirituality. You can literally, spirituality is in nature. Spirituality is in meditation. It can be expressed through even community service, just in other ways of participating in something that is larger than ourselves and like our singular self. For me, I love tarot. I read a tarot card for myself every day. And that's sort of a way that I can use for my own self-reflection and focusing on something that is bigger than myself. Some examples of spiritual self-care, engaging in reflective practices like meditation. YouTube is your best bet for this. Meditation, like full disclosure, meditation is something hard to get into. It is very intimidating, especially to sit there for however long and just meditate. Very intimidating. Go to YouTube for that. First of all, it's free. There are some awesome guided meditation videos on YouTube that like 11 out of 10 highly recommend. And you can sort of work your way up, going from maybe 5 minutes or maybe even a minute if that is all that you can do, and slowly work your way up for meditation. If you feel so compelled, going to a church, mosque, or temple, very important if you're religious to keep that up and like make that your spiritual mental health. Like we mentioned before, yoga, both physical and spiritual. Yoga can be very meditative as well. And then, of course, another really good one is reflecting with a close friend for support. And Amanda's going to lead us in a spiritual self-care activity.
Yeah, so just more like reflecting and journaling. So if you want to get another piece of paper out or whatever, just think more about like these questions. So how does your heart feel today? What things are presently occupying your mind and heart? How have you experienced something bigger than yourself lately? So that can be God, it can be your nature, it can be yourself, your higher self. What has been life-giving and what has been life-draining? So kind of like thinking about those questions and answering them for yourself to kind of reflect on your spiritual self-care. And we can do this for like 5 minutes or so before we move on to our last activity.
Just like we said before, a lot of self-care activities do overlap, and that is great. So just to be aware of our time, we're going to go ahead and say maybe 2 or 3 more minutes. If you need more time and you're watching this after it's been posted online, feel free to pause the video. Take as much time as you want. Don't limit yourself. If you want to sit and write for like 15, 20 minutes, feel free to. Another thing I think would be really good is adding something you're grateful for. Gratitude is very spiritual and just looking at what we have as opposed to what we don't have. I think it was Oprah Winfrey that said, if you look at what you have instead of what you don't have, you suddenly have so much more. It's one of my favorite quotes. So go ahead and use this last minute. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. We have one more thing to go over. So this is just a really fun little graphic that Amanda and I found, and it's a self-care plan. So some things work for some people and some things don't. A way to do physical self-care is going to the gym, lifting weights. That is not for everyone. It might, like, that's something that works for me. It might not work for the person next to me. So go ahead, and when you have time, really sit down and think, what are some different ways that you can focus on your mind, body, and spirit? In the box on the left, you can put stuff about your social life. What are things you can do to deepen your relationship? And then on the right, really focus on that, like, what can you do to better yourself? And then really, really good is you can hang this something somewhere. I know a lot of folks are getting super excited about redoing their focus in their desk space. Maybe put this somewhere on your desk as a reminder to take a little bit of time out of each day to focus on you. It's a very, very busy world, even in the middle of this pandemic. And it's still, like, vital for us to take care of ourselves. And again, fill up our cups because we cannot pour from an empty one. With that being said, I'm not 100% sure if there's anyone in the actual recording of this right now. Solomon and Caylinn, I do want to open up if you two have any questions. If not, this was a lot of fun.
It truly was. I'm very happy that we had the chance to bring you guys back on. We had you on, I believe, in maybe early July, but that was a great episode that we were able to get you guys on. Of course, we wanted to bring you guys back just to do a second episode on just some more in-depth tips and advice and how we can better utilize our time for this upcoming fall semester. It is different than what we normally would expect, but I believe what you guys provided definitely sets those who listen to this up for success. So very grateful for that. If anyone needs to get in contact with CAPS, feel free to go to the main university website and then just search for CAPS, CAPS, or Counseling and Psychological Services in the main search bar on the top of the website. or you can just go to Master Maize and Blue on our website, and you should be able to find contact info that will take you there. That has been that's been Mastering Maize and Blue for today's episode. Very thankful for Amanda and Chandler for taking their time out. Thank you to Caylinn for being an amazing co-host. We definitely did partake in some of the exercises, so very useful and very excited to put those into play for this upcoming semester. So that's pretty much it. If you are listening to this and you are ready to keep mastering Maize and Blue, please visit the website, our page, Mastering Maize and Blue. Just go to UM-Dearborn Maine University page / Mastering Maize and Blue, and you can find previous and upcoming episodes on there. We are nearing the end of our season 1 of Mastering Maize and Blue, but I can tell you it has been a robust season of topics and things being recorded and resources and offices. So please check those out. There has been so much work put into those by orientation leaders. I definitely want those to be seen by everyone that can get their eyes on them. So thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Mastering Maize and Blue. This has been my name, Solomon Dudley, and Caylinn Higgins. We are so excited to see you guys virtually in the fall. And with that said, go Blue, go safe, and go Dearborn.